Hi lovelies, welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad that you're here. It's been a whirlwind of a semester, a whirlwind of a week, and I'm excited to take you guys through everything that I've been going through. And in previous videos, I've talked about my experience with the grad school and everything that I've been experiencing, the ups, the downs, the highs, the lows. But in this video, I wanted to talk a little bit about focus because it's something that I've been struggling with, and I think it's something that everyone could get a little better at in terms of school, in terms of work, and passion projects, and everything like that. So, thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the content of this video. Okay. Hi you guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Stacy Pierre and welcome to Adventures of a Grad School Student. I'm actually in Reynolds Park. It's a park in South Florida because I'm getting ready for a date. You can't focus and you are not in the minority. A majority of people can't focus today because of the endless distractions that we have around us. From our phones to television to streaming services to our friends, there are so many things that just take us away from doing our actual goal. And today I wanted to talk about some tips and tricks that I have when it comes to maintaining focus. I'm no expert by any means, but I am just a girl who's in grad school, who hasn't been in school for the past 6 years, that is learning and moving and grooving and trying to figure out the best way to focus so that I can inhale and really digest all the material that I am taking in. Hi everyone, my name is Stacy Pierre and welcome back to my channel. On this channel, we talk about all things grad school, all things life, all things adventure when it comes to the academic and advertising space. I am an advertising and marketing student at Florida International University and Miami Advertising School. Sorry that I'm looking around, there's so many cars driving by. I'm at a park just waiting for my date. I've been dating someone for some time, but that's not what we're talking about. So let's get into it. It's been 6 years since I've been to school, and while I love it, I cannot focus. I spend a lot of my time just stressing about school, stressing about assignments, stressing about everything that I need to do, but I don't spend a lot of time actually doing the assignments. I'm mostly just stressing out about them. And something that I realize is that a lot of us can't focus, and we are not in the minority, we're in the majority, because the majority of the people that I talk to, that I interact with, either procrastinate, push things off, or just don't do things at all. And I think it's because they can't focus. So I have tried a couple of different things that have not worked when it comes to getting focused, when it comes to just establishing myself as a really great graduate student. So I'm going to talk to you guys about the things that have not worked, and then I'm also going to talk to you guys about the things that I want to implement that will potentially work once I just implement it. So in this video, we're going to talk about what I tried and why it didn't work. We're also going to talk about what is boredom and why we need to just embrace it as a society and as a culture in general. We're going to talk about why we find the tasks that lead up to our ultimate goal a bit boring. And we're also going to talk about 3 actionable steps you can take to maintain focus. So if you're with me, let's go. So I started graduate school in January, and since beginning graduate school, I have been very overwhelmed. I'm taking like 5 classes, 2 at FIU and 3 at Miami Advertising School. And granted, I like to say that I'm not in medical school, I'm not in law school, so I'm not necessarily getting the complete rigor that other professional programs get. But what I will say is that it's just a lot of work, a lot of assignments, a lot of thinking to do. So in the first half of the semester, I essentially tried a couple of different things. I tried the Pomodoro method, but instead of doing like the 25-5 method, I tried the 50-10 method, where you study for 50 minutes and then you study for 15 minutes and then you take a break for 10 minutes. While that was interesting, I will say that because my attention span is so short, the Pomodoro method didn't necessarily really work for me, the 50-10, because I found that I would still get on my phone, I would still text people, my phone would be on Do Not Disturb, and I would still interact with the world around me. And like, granted, like, one could say, yeah, like, what if you have an emergency? Well, my mom and my sister are my emergency contacts. So if I had an emergency, they would call me and they would come through my phone. So there was no emergency. I just couldn't focus on the 50 minutes that was presented in front of me. So that's one method that I've tried that hasn't worked. And instead of 50-10, what you can do is something that I'm trying to implement right now, which is chunking things into bite-sized chunks, right? Because I think a lot of times we think we need to have like a sizable portion of our day to dedicate to schoolwork, to dedicate to a big project. But something that a mentor told me is that if something takes you more than 8 hours, it's no longer a task, it is a project. And you need to break it up even more just to make sure that you are managing your time properly. So instead of doing the 50-10 method, what you can do is break things up into manageable chunks so that when it's time to do the task, you don't feel overwhelmed and you feel like you can still focus without going too drastic. Another thing that I tried in the beginning of the semester that didn't work was putting my phone on Do Not Disturb. So essentially, it is what it sounds like. Putting your phone on Do Not Disturb, and you think, oh, like, no one's gonna disturb me because like my phone's on Do Not Disturb. But Do Not Disturb doesn't work if you want to be disturbed, because you end up checking your phone, you end up, you know, moving things around, you end up just doing like these meaningless things because you feel like you're disconnected from the world. And if you have like an addiction to your phone, which I do believe I have some sort of addiction to my phone and like just constant stimulation, it can be very difficult to do a method where you don't get on your phone and you're not interacting with people, because it just becomes very difficult. But something that I am going to implement starting now is putting my phone in like an entirely separate space and having like phone time, if that makes sense. So instead of using my phone and getting mad at myself for using my phone and, you know, getting on certain apps or getting on certain platforms, I'm just not going to have my phone at all. Because I find that if you don't have the distraction at all, what are you going to really use? You know, you kind of have to force yourself to implement techniques that will cause you to really evaluate what you're going through in terms of, like, how do I say this? I find that you need to really evaluate what are your distractors so you can eliminate them. And I do think that, you know, to the previous point I made where I said that you want to like defeat, eliminate, like get rid of it, like I think you can do it with some kindness as well, like, because I feel like we're chasing like cheap dopamine, right? Like the text messages, the notifications, all those things, those are versions of cheap dopamine that essentially don't necessarily help you in the grand scheme of things. So I would suggest taking your phone and just putting it in another location just so that you don't have that distraction near you if you don't have any self-control. And like for me, I don't really have any self-control when it comes to my phone, at least not at this moment. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna put my phone in a whole different room. And like, back to the Pomodoro method, you can still use a Pomodoro method if you're putting your phone in a whole different space, because then it gives you time to really focus on things that drive the needle forward, right? So like, let's say for example, you're using the 50-10 method or the 25-5 method. If you don't have your phone and then you just put a timer on your computer, you can just put a timer on for 25 or 50 minutes, and then after that timer, you can do something that stimulates you in other ways, like maybe read a couple pages of a book, maybe go for a quick walk, maybe even not eat some things. I feel like that can be a little, I don't know, I feel like associating food with a reward can be a little tricky. You know, you can splash water in your face. There's so many different things that you can do to reward yourself after that Pomodoro method timing technique. And the last thing that I have tried, I'm sorry that I keep looking back, guys. Literally, I keep looking back because literally, I'm at a park and there's so many cars and I'm waiting for my date. So that's something that I am distracted by. Let's see if he texted me actually. So another thing that I've tried is just to genuinely enjoy what I'm learning. But the thing is, when it comes to genuinely enjoying what you're learning, there are still so many distractions available. So it's one of those things where it's like, you need to just not only genuinely enjoy what you're learning, but what I wrote down is that you need to change your perspective on what you find interesting. And this is easier said than done, but something that you can do to change your perspective on what you find interesting is removing yourself from the distractions of social media, from instant gratification, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Instagram, whether it's TikTok, whether it's Pinterest, whether it's Reddit, whether it's Substack even. Just removing yourself from like forms of like instant hits on your dopamine receptors, and then reframing what you find interesting by maybe taking notes, telling someone, oh, I want to talk to you about something that I found interesting in the future, and you have to talk to them about the project or about the thing that you my hair. You have to talk to them about the project or the thing that you have done before. So that's something that you can do as well. Just if you want to make sure that what you find interesting changes, just go off of like the things that you already find a little interesting, and then develop that into something that can be more like passionately interesting, if that makes sense. So that's it, y'all. That's all I wanted to say. But another tip is that you should also start with like 10 minutes of focus. If you can't do 15, if you can't do 20, if you can't do 50 minutes of focus, just start off with 10 minutes of focus time and just see where that gets you. And also, like, before you can go the extra mile, you have to take a step. So always remember that the journey might be long and arduous and a little bit difficult, but as long as you start taking those steps and you don't distract yourself with things like, I don't know, like reality TV or like Instagram or all these different social media like things that are designed to take our time away, you should be fine. And if you have any questions or if you want to talk more about this topic, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section and just feel free to chat with me. I will enjoy replying to you guys and just chatting with you guys. So I am going to sign off from here. I'm just going to take a look at the park. And if you have any questions for me, you can always email me on my email, staceyericapierre1997@gmail.com, or you can DM me on my Instagram or anything like that. Okay, and have a great day, y'all. Hi, guys. Hi, you guys. This is Reynolds Park. It's very beautiful, very nice. For some reason, I feel like my camera's tilted and it's gonna kill me if I record this and upload it and the camera is tilted. Well, now it's definitely tilted now. It's definitely tilted now. Is it still tilted?